This video is about the endosymbiont theory, a theory of how life came to exist on our planet. Endo means inside, symbiont means cooperation, and any theory is an explanation for a certain observed phenomenon. But let's go back to the beginning and let's think about the very first cell that ever existed. This cell was rather bad at using energy. It had slow reproduction, it was weak, and it used a variety of energy sources, but none of them were used efficiently. Some other features of the cell is that the information stored within the cell was stored in DNA form. Also, radiation and chemical damage can cause mutations in this DNA, and these different cell types that result are called mutants. Mutants arise when the DNA is mutated such that it changes so that subsequent cells are then different from the parent cell. Over time, mutation and natural selection produced a very wide variety of cell types. But the sad truth of the matter is that most of them died off. Most of them went extinct. But let's take a look at a few of the cell types that didn't go extinct. One of the mutations that arrived gave the new cells an ability to produce internal membrane compartments, a more complex cell. And these complex internal compartments, among other things, stored the DNA, took on digestive processes, etc., but it allowed for more and more complexity to arise. Another mutation allowed certain cells to really efficiently utilize sugar to produce energy. Yet another mutation arose that allowed the cell to take in light energy from the sun and produce sugar out of it as a storage form of its energy. The result of all this is that at a certain point in evolution, we had complex cells with internal vesicles, which allowed for specialization of function, but these cells were slow and bad at producing energy from food. But we also had cells that were great at producing energy from food, but they were weak. And some other cells that produced its own food from the sun, but these were also weak and slow. But let's think about what the endosymbiont theory really says. It says that there was a happy accident of symbiosis, where at a certain point in time, a high energy cell infected a complex cell. And the infected cell ended up being better off than either cell alone. The new cell produced energy much faster, but also had these specialized compartments allowing for specialized functions. These cells, also subjected to mutation and natural selection, eventually ended up evolving into multicellular animals and single-cellular creatures called protists. Later on, another happy accident occurred, and the cell that had previously been infected was infected again, only this time by a cell that could create energy from light. The result was a new type of cell that was complex, had internal compartments, could create sugar from the sun's energy, and could efficiently utilize that sugar for energy. These cells eventually evolved under natural selection and mutation into today what we call plants and algae. So in summary, the endosymbiont theory explains how cells with different features, different strengths and weaknesses combined, evolved in a symbiotic relationship to produce every living creature that we know. And some good evidence that we have of this is that if you look at an animal cell, it contains mitochondria. But a plant cell contains both mitochondria and chloroplasts. The mitochondria are very efficient at utilizing energy, and the chloroplasts are very efficient at producing energy from light. Pretty neat, huh?